Hello and welcome back. I hope you guys remember last time we were playing with Neopixels. We were playing with this little 12 Neopixel ring here. And this is just simple, right? They take 5 volts. I'm taking the 5 volts right off from the Arduino and the ground. And we're controlling all 12 of these with a pin, single pin. So 12 Neopixels was pretty simple. But now I think it's time to ramp it up. I think I want to try this guy. This is an 8x8 Neopixel matrix, making this a total of 64 Neopixels. So nearly 6 times what we have here. So the first thing we need to do though is solder some pins. There's no way to get a hold of this. So we're going to solder out to here. If you see the Neopixels, they have digital in, which is the same thing as on this ring. We have the in VCC ground. This thing has digital in, 5 volts and ground, and then it has an out 5 volts and ground, and this one here also has that same VCC ground and out. So let me just get set up to solder this thing, and we'll put some pins on it and see what happens. So soldering this is actually a little bit more of a challenge than you might expect, because these pin headers here, they're going to go in kind of this way and stick down like that, but if you look over here, there is not much space to get a soldering iron into there, but certainly I'm going to give it a shot. So let me just break off 3 pins here. This is really not ideal, but I'm going to give it a shot. Stick these pins in through here. Like that, and try to stick the sticky tack as well as I can, and put more sticky tack on the other side for sort of balancing reasons. It might just fit in there, we will see. So I'll solder the outside pin, seems to be the easiest here. Let my soldering iron oxidize a bit. Let me just clean the tip. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Try to solder the last one out here. Doesn't help that I'm right-handed, and on the right-hand side is where the lighting is. Gotta get out of there quick. I'm on the actual LED. Oh yeah, I melted the LED a little bit there. That's okay. I'm gonna try to get this last one, the middle one. Oh boy. Making a real dog's breakfast out of this one. There we go. A little bit of a dry joint on that one. So we'll know if any of these 2 LEDs are fried, this guy or this guy. Totally my fault. That's okay. I got it done though. Another way is to solder just little pieces of wire on the back side, but I really wanted the pin headers in this case. But anyways, that's all done now. So now let's go over to the computer. I'll show you what code is running on the Arduino right now and which modifications we're going to make for this 64 Neopixel board. And so this here is what we have in the Arduino right now. This is the simple sketch from the Adafruit Neopixel library. But it's modified a little bit. So this is all from Adafruit over here. I've actually changed here the delay value to 250. It was 500, so it's a little slower. This one goes a little faster. I added these. These are new variables, and these new variables are for setting the color. Instead of it just being one color, I want it to be random every time it goes around. So void setup here, pixels begin, this is all Adafruit, void loop, and here, this is all new text here. So I set the red to be a random value between 0 and 255, which is the minimum and the maximum. Green to be random, 0 to 255, and blue to be random, 0 to 255. This is Adafruits, and here, this is how it sets the pixel color. So, color, our red value, green value, and blue value, which will be randomly generated every time. If you look here, the instructions on the Adafruit says from 000 to 255, 255, 255, and that's what we have over here. And then, so this is no longer true. Moderately bright will be a random color. And yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, and over here, up here, is you set how many pixels you have. So we had 12 on that little ring, and we were driving it with pin 6. So the only thing I want to change here is to change this 12 to 64. There we go, and we're going to save this. So Control S, or I can go File and Save. And I want to upload this to the Arduino. So it's just uploading down here. And I think it is finished. Alright, so now we'll go back to the bench and see what the result of that is. So here we are back at the bench. There's our Arduino. Nothing much has changed. If I plug this in, these are still Neopixels, so it should still function the same with a slight difference. So I'm going to plug this in. And there we go. We've got a little bit of a fuchsia color going on here. And you'll notice it's not switching colors again. And that's because it's actually activating 64 Neopixels, even though the rest don't even exist in this case. And once it's done switching those, then we can get new colors. There we go. There's the new colors there, and so on and so on. Now there's a few differences between this setup and the setup we're going to need with this. So you'll notice here I'm using the V-in pin, and last time I was actually doing this project on the last video, I was using the 5-volt pin. So the V-in pin is taking whatever voltage that you're pushing into the Arduino. In this case, it's a clean 5 volts from like a cell phone charger. But it takes whatever voltage you're throwing in, and then it converts it down to 5 volts if necessary, if it's not already 5 volts. And so in this case, the VIN is 5 volts, so I can run it off that. If I use that 5-volt pin that's next to the ground here, then I'm going through this little 5-volt linear regulator. And the problem with that is if I try to pull 5 volts for 64 Neopixels, I'll probably overheat this thing and it'll probably shut down. So we can't do that. I have to use my little benchtop power supply here to power this guy. So I'm just going to unplug all this, and I'll show you exactly what's going to happen here. So I'm going to pull this off. So back here, the D-in will use the orange as the in, and the 5 volts will be the yellow, and the ground will be the green, just like before. Okay, so like that, and then I'm going to put this on pin 6 because we didn't change that. Still on pin 6. But now I'm going to take these two wires here, peel them apart a little bit, and I'm going to put them into this power supply. So voltage in is yellow, ground is green. Okay, there we go. Now I need to power the Arduino, and now I could use just my USB power supply here to do that, but I'm already setting my, if you look at this here, my power supply, benchtop power supply to 5 volts. So I'm just going to use that. Hope it's a smooth enough 5 volts. See if I can jam both these pins in here. Kind of barely. Not very well. I'll have to figure out something for the future. For now, I think this will do. I'm trying to get both of those. I figured I have so much breadboard laying around that I might as well use it. So I've got the positive of my power supply going to this top positive rail here, the positive of the Neopixels on the same rail, this brown wire here coming from the negative of my power supply on this negative rail, and the green is the negative for the Neopixels, leaving only one thing, and that's the Arduino itself. So I'm going to use this sort of reddish and grayish So red is positive, gray is negative, and now I'm going to put this into the 5 volts over here, number 4 from the end, and the ground. So again, I only have the one pin being used by the Arduino. Everything else is just power ground, and if I switch this on, this thing should come to life. And don't forget, this one here might not work, this little melted one, but we'll see. Ready? Oh yeah, and I also set a 2 amp current limit. I don't actually know how much current this is going to use, so this will be interesting for all of us. And go. Oh, not quite sure what's going on there. A bunch of the pixels are lit up. It's very odd. I'm going to double check here. 5 volts is on the yellow. Yep. That is it. Ground is on the green. Yep. So what's going on here? Let's try to reset the Arduino before we start panicking. So that's what it looks like. Reset the Arduino. It's not doing anything. I'm going to power off the Arduino. Power it back on. Nope. I'm going to try to power off and power back on. Oh, we have 1 pixel on now, all the way down there. I'm not even sure which one's the positive pixel, or the number 1 pixel, I should say. Quite interesting. Reset again, nothing. We're going to, how about this? We will turn this off, pull out the power for the Neopixels, turn it on, and then put the power in. I just want you to see as I put the power in. No, nothing. None of the pixels are lighting. It is resetting, but why isn't this working? We're only drawing 81 milliamps, so I'm not sure the Neopixels are doing anything right now. It's very interesting. The Arduino is clearly powered up. We have nothing on the actual Neopixels. So in, that's the orange, and then 5 volts and ground. Oh, look at that. We have 1 pixel lit. Let's wait until it cycles and perhaps it'll work. But it shouldn't be all that long. No, I don't know. Let's unplug the Neopixel again. Changing the ground makes a difference. Now it is possible that I messed this up by overheating this Neopixel here to the point where the micro inside, since they have a little chip inside, is no longer good. But if we can see now, the current is up a bit. So 101. Try resetting again. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. It is also possible that this power supply is too noisy for this. So let's see what happens if I turn off this power supply completely. So now it's off, and I just hook up the USB here. See, the Arduino is on, and everything should be tied together. I'm going to put the red into the V-in pin. Something's going on. Look at that. 4 of the pixels are lit. Well, 3 actually. 1, 2, 3. I'm wondering if I'm not sending enough current up through here. That is possible. Very interesting. It's not acting normal. And there we go, we have that the corner one on again. Gonna turn on this switching power supply, see what happens. No, not much. Alright, well, let me just make sure the code was good, and I'll troubleshoot a little bit, and we'll see what I can figure out. So, after a lot of troubleshooting, I actually figured out the problem. If you can see now, the colors are changing. See it heading up there? So what happened is this board is actually mislabeled. This is not in and out. If you can see over here, digital out over here, and digital in, D-in, was over here. All I did was unplug this orange wire here and plug it into the out. I just stuffed it into the out, and now it's working. So this board was actually mislabeled. There you go. So there was nothing wrong with our software. So I would change the software back to the way it was. But yeah, our board is friggin' backwards. And I was doubting myself because I did melt the plastic a little bit up there. But really, it turns out it was the board after all that was mislabeled. You can see there, I don't know if you can tell, it's changing colors. I can't see anything really because I'm pretty much blinded by this thing. It is extremely bright. Like you can see the cast on my hand here, even though it's right underneath my studio lighting. So yeah, it looks like at full power this thing takes I don't know, nearly, I guess I would have to send all white and max brightness, but it seems to be taking an average, let's say, of about 800 milliamps, which is quite a bit for a little panel. It is getting pretty warm to the touch, but not hot. But there you go. We managed to run 64 Neopixel LEDs on a single pin on an Arduino. So if you have anything else you want to see with these Neopixels, let me know in the comments below if you have any ideas. But once again, thanks for watching.